Great. Hello, Marteen Santerre here with SoulBeing, and today I am speaking with Stephanie McLeod-Estevez. Stephanie, welcome. Stephanie is an art therapist and a breast cancer survivor. So today she's going to share with us her story and how art helped her through her process. So tell us about your work.
So I'm an art therapist and a breast cancer survivor, as you mentioned, and I work with the cancer community. So I work with people who are in active treatment and those who have finished. I work with loved ones, and I also work with other providers who work with cancer survivors to provide enhanced collaborative care.
Okay.
And so even when clients have their own psychotherapists, the tools that I've developed can be really useful.
Excellent. And can you tell us a little bit about some of those tools? Like what is involved in that?
Right. So I think, when you think about cancer, it's more than just a medical problem. And so you have to find ways to essentially unpack what you've gone through, because otherwise it's always going to kind of run the show, whether it's on the forefront or the back front.
Okay.
And so the art therapy tools I've developed help you kind of unpack that in a manageable way, and eventually sort of weave that into your story so it's no longer so disintegrated or calling too much attention.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So then tell us what your story is. We actually have Stephanie's breasts here.
Here they
are. Before they were gone.
Exactly.
You can't see that, but it says gone cancer's collateral damage. So tell us about your story.
So my cancer story really probably started when I was 19 and my mom was diagnosed for the first time with breast cancer, and she went through that. She was cancer-free until I was 25, and then she was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, and I was one of her caregivers, and so that was a huge piece for me to go through, and that's how I actually found art therapy.
So as you were dealing with your mom's breast cancer, not your own?
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's not just for the patient, it's for their loved ones as well.
For sure. And so then when I was diagnosed, at 40, so it was like almost 15 years later, I was like, oh my God.
You're like, what the heck is going on?
Like in some respects, I had wondered for a long time. It definitely runs strongly in my family.
Yeah.
And so, I was diagnosed the day after my kiddo started kindergarten, my youngest one.
It's like devastating.
Yeah. It was awful. But at the same time, it was what it was. And, it was my school year project. He started kindergarten. I went through treatment.
There you go.
I literally ended treatment.
Yeah, kindergarten art, it amped up a little bit. I love that.
Yeah. My final day of treatment was on the final day of school that year.
So, Wow. So then, so what is it specifically about art that helped you to work through your process, or through not just the treatment and the chemo and all those things that I'm sure that you encountered, but the psychological cost of having a child in kindergarten and going through that? How did art help you?
Absolutely. So during treatment, I used it kind of as a grounding place, a holding space for like when I was feeling really anxious or overwhelmed or exhausted, and I needed a place to process it. Sort of
like an outlet.
Container. It was a good outlet.
Yeah.
But when treatment ends, everybody's like, great. You're fortunate enough, of course, to be cancer-free. You never want to discount that. But everybody's ready to move on.
Then what?
Like, oh my God. The adrenaline that kind of kept stuff in check isn't there anymore, and in its wake are all the thoughts and feelings, and that's really overwhelming. You've confronted the universal fears that we all have, and you're trying to feel better, and you're trying to put yourself together. And so what art does is it literally helps you kind of lean into that story. And when you're leaning into it, you're trying to translate it onto paper, and that both gives you some distance and space, but it also, what's the word I want to go for there? It validates what you've gone through.
Yeah, and it gives you something to keep after the fact as well. That is almost like bearing witness to what you went through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or destroy.
If you're like, this thing is going. So tell us about your bust then, because it's beautiful.
So this was my mastectomy cast.
Okay.
I went through chemo first, then the surgery. And so when I was processing what that experience felt like, well, to back up a little bit, like, because I knew I was going to lose my breast, I did several breast casts just to sort of hold that image, kind of like a belly cast for women who are pregnant. Yeah. And I didn't really know what I was going to do with them, but as treatment was ending and I was sort of pulling my life back together, I realized I could use that as canvas.
Interesting.
And to process the various pieces of
wow.
the journey. And so this was the one I did on the anniversary of my bilateral mastectomy, and I know it had to be hand painted, and this was the breast that had the
cancer, so that's why it's black and the darker
black
colors.
And darker, although they found stage 0 DCIS in the other one, so it was really good that I had that done.
The double, yeah.
But it says gone, cancer's collateral damage, because ultimately there's a lot of collateral damage that comes with having cancer. It's not this medical issue, it's way more than a medical issue.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. It's we appreciate you being vulnerable and authentic. Do you have any words of encouragement for those that are either going through cancer right now, or loved ones of people that are dealing with cancer, or maybe we have another one of your peers that works with people that are suffering, that, sometimes it's hard to find the right thing to say, because as you said, there is so much of that collateral damage. So anything you can share in closing?
Yeah, I would say that the most important thing is to try to be mindful of what your experience is. Like, so often we're not really fully in touch with why we're suffering. We just know we are suffering, and that's kind of like the gateway. Okay. If you can give yourself permission to sort of go and follow that thought or experience, you might be able to unlock it. And to just be patient and loving with one another, because the caregivers have a very different experience, but they've also been through something themselves, the loved ones.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Have
Marteen.
a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.